start out, I'm going to share my screen quickly here so you can see the presentation. And the first thing I'm going to talk about before I get into the mechanic piece, so just a little bit about the flow of it, is I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple teaching basics and then go into the actual mechanics of the 3 online basics. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So let me just get to present those and on my millions of tabs. There we go. And by all means, ask questions. I am going to show an actual class. So what I'll do is talk it through, because everybody learns differently. And like you were mentioning, you want to see it more than once. I'll first talk it through, and then like with pictures and some nice images that Rhonda's prepared in this, and then I'll show you as well in a Canvas course. So the first thing for teaching online, and I don't know how much of this you've had, but this is from best practices. So you really want to chunk your information. Like, so for instance, if you're going to do like videos or talk over your PowerPoints or anything like that, or just even if you turn on your device, your cell phone, and you want to do a message to your students kind of thing, just to keep them short, you know, maybe 10 minutes for each segment. Now, if you have a lecture, you can do a 10 to 15 minute chunk lecture and say 1, 2, 3, 4 in your course. So just kind of chunking the lessons. And that comes from the students are, especially online. So those who choose online, and I know we're in a time right now, they don't really get a ton of choices. A lot of them are online anyway, but we're starting it back to some face-to-face. But the online student in general, they have a lot of distractions going on. So whether they're at home with siblings and they're doing this, or they're parents with kids and they're taking the course, or just in general, they have jobs, anything, even if they're in a dorm, people are walking in and out. So they really, online learners really do digest the learning information in chunks. They might have half an hour this day, 2 hours the next day, half an hour the next day. So we do that. And also for, I don't know about you, but also for attention. So if you are doing anything like watching a video, reading your information online, like anybody, it's hard to stay focused for 20 minutes doing something like that if you're watching online. So it's, again, there's a lot of studies on that as well, the attention span. But the other thing is to be present. So if you have videos of yourself, introducing yourself, anytime that you're in your discussion boards with your students, and I don't mean answer every one they post so that they talk to each other, but pop in a couple times a week so they see that you're present. Meet with them on Zoom. We're going to talk about how to do that on Zoom. So you can set up your group, like your whole course, or class, all your class participants in a synchronous chat, or you can do an asynchronous kind of thing where they can watch a recording. So there's a lot of different things that we can do as far as being present. You can meet with them one-on-one with your office hours, anything like that. The other thing is engaging relevant learning, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that in discussion boards. I don't want to get too far ahead of that. Depends on where you're at when we get into the course things. But I can give you ideas when we're done. Rhonda can share ideas, and Dan can too when we're finished, on just making it relevant and engaging for them online. In other words, they're not going to want to necessarily read the chapter 1 and 2 and take a quiz, and the next week read the chapter, take a quiz. That's not really engaging online learning. Now you can have a quiz in your course, but so we'll talk a little about what that looks like. But that gets right into the different medias and activities, varying the things. You know, they have a paper this week, a quiz next week. The third week, they actually video themselves talking through the content instead of a paper. It's a 5-minute video, something like that to vary it. And then ease of navigation. And that's what we're going to talk about in the actual course, doing your pages and things like that. So the 3 online basics, when you're talking the actual online components and the technical piece and how to do that, you were mentioning, Sharon, that your students help you with that. We're going to talk through the Zoom part. Then we're going to talk through Canvas assignments and then Canvas pages. Like, how do you do this? So those are the 3 basics that you can use. So if you use a Zoom, so you can see your students, meet with them, and you've got your assignments and some basic information in Canvas, then you can teach your content that way. So that's what we're talking about today. This is getting started, if you will, the very basics. So Why do we want to have these basics covered in all our online classes? Because we want the students to have access to the Canvas courses. In other words, they might have 5 courses, 4 courses, and it's a one-stop where they go to Canvas, and here's all their courses that they're in. And that's where they can do their work time, their learning time, their assignment submissions. It also creates a calendar for them that shows when everything's due, if the course is in Canvas and the assignments are put in. So it's kind of a one-stop for the students as far as their courses go. And it's that consistency piece, so they know where to find things. That reduces anxiety. They don't want to have to be looking at in their emails for the assignments or things like that. And they've got multiple professors and courses, and it's just really hard for anyone to get a handle on that if they're having it come at them in different ways. So if we have Canvas as that piece, yes, Rhonda.
I just wanted to kind of add to that, as a student, if I know that I'll be able to get into Canvas and find my assignment, because it's always called the same thing and it's always in the same place, or, that gives me a certain amount of control in the class, and that helps reduce my anxiety. The rest of the world can be chaotic, but I know when I get into Canvas, I'm going to be able to have a certain amount, be able to predict and have a certain amount of control in the class. That's really huge in helping lower their anxiety. So that, I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. And that is true. I'm glad you added even more about the anxiety piece, because that's a huge reality right now with the students in the learning environment in higher education. And I mean, I guess K-12 too right now, but we're talking about higher education where everything's gone online. They may have never had an online course. Even if they have, every online course is different, and it is very anxiety producing. So if they have that consistency piece where they can find things like Rhonda's saying, that helps a ton for their performance as well, if they can have the anxiety reduced. Good point. So I'm not sure have you used Zoom before, Sharon? Like, do you have an account already created? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at Zoom.
Yay.
Kind of, sorta, sometimes.
Excellent. So I can bypass, this is what I'm asking. I'd rather get to things I can help you with. So I'm going to bypass creating an account because you have that account already established. And do you schedule your own Zooms, or do the students schedule the Zoom sessions for you?
Well, now that I think about it, most of it is through Teams, but I do have a Zoom account.
Okay.
Sometimes I get confused on how to find it.
Right. I get it. The nice thing with Zoom is it's right in your course. It's one of the links in your course in the tabs, which is helpful. So if you have already signed into your account, and it sounds like you have, if you've already used it, this is just talking through how to set up your meeting. So whether you go through the web browser or this is the app. So if you download this to your computer, this is what it'll look like.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to schedule, if you want, say you want to do, you want to schedule every Tuesday from noon to 2 for office hours or something, that would be the schedule button. If you want to just like have a meeting right now and have a new meeting and start something, then you can hit the new meeting button on there. So it's inherent in that it's clicking on the different sections that you want, but then once you get in it, there's a lot of options. So have you done this part before? Or do you want me to talk this through?
If you don't mind, I'd love to listen to it. Yeah.
No, I don't mind at all. So let's say if you are going to do a reoccurring meeting. So the first line up there where that first arrow is, and I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but the very first one is where you're going to put the date. So what date do you want it? What time do you want it? And how often do you want it? So in other words, if you have office hours that you want to schedule, you can do a reoccurring meeting right here. So let's say you want it from like the examples 9:30, you wouldn't probably have that late, but maybe 9:30 till 10. Then you would just put, this is when I want it, this day, 9:30 to 10. Now you can make that a reoccurring meeting so that it shows up every Tuesday or whatever 3/16/2020 was. You can have that same day then each time it comes up. So you don't have to go back every week and reschedule that. So you can have it reoccurring. And I know a lot of faculty might do this if they have multiple classes and they have specific office hours for them. They'll do this. So they'll schedule it ahead of time. There are some classes too that they might meet every other week, or they have a couple times during the semester, they'll have a whole class session, whether it's to go over the research project or capstone, or whether it's to talk through how the course is going, whatever the case may be. And you can actually schedule these out prior to that time coming. So in other words, if you're someone who wants to have your whole class online and organized in August, but your meetings aren't till November, you can still schedule them ahead of time so that it'll show up and you'll have a link in the course. So if we work down kind of that menu, you're going to want your meeting ID to generate itself unless you want it to be your own personal meeting. And the difference of that is, different uses of that would be, let's say you would want it to be generating automatically if you have multiple classes and you want to make sure that that's a specific time for that class that meets. Now for office hours, you might want to have your personal meeting ID. You can use that one if it's a one-to-one meeting with somebody and it's a time, because you still have to set up your controls to admit people in. But also you might do the personal ID if you have office hours the same every week, that it doesn't matter who, if you have maybe several sections of the same course and you don't mind them coming in from different courses, different sections, then you could use a personal ID. But if you're teaching different courses, then you probably want to have it generate automatically so that you don't have people from other courses popping in. Did that make sense on
Yes,
which
it
one
does.
on that? Okay. You can require meeting password. I skip this. It just gets confusing because you can actually have them, now there's safety protocols that come in where they say enable your waiting room, so you don't have to do that. So I would skip this, just like Rhonda put an example, skip over that one. Video, and then the participants, yes, you want them to have the video on, so you want to click that. I also put the telephone and computer audio under the audio because sometimes they're clicking in on Zoom on their phones. A lot of times they join with their cell phones. And especially if they don't have a good signal, but they have cell service, whatever the case may be, they might be somewhere else that's not by their laptop if they're a student. So I enable both of those. Google Calendar or Outlook or any of those, if you want that to be an addition that they can click on to add that to their calendar, you can add that in the next section. And the advanced options, this is where I click this one where it's enable waiting room, because I don't do the password. And this has changed a bit since actually Zoom came out with these different requirement or recommendations, strong recommendations, since Ron and I presented this way back in March. So you can choose, you can either do a password or you can do enable waiting room. And all that means is once they come in, you just have to press admit so that you are in control of who's joining. So then they can't enable before the host. So you just choose on this one. So if you have a one-to-one, you can decide on that. It's just a safety precaution they recommend. And so I have to pass it on to you. That's up to you. Mute participants on entry is good, because if there's going to be a class going on, you probably are going to want to have mute participants on entry so that their dogs are barking, their kids are, saying something, that roommates are going through, and then you don't have that back feed when they come in. Now, if you want to record it, this is a great option at the bottom to automatically record it, because if you are going to post this, so not everybody can attend and someone's going to have to watch it later, then you should post it after it happens into the class. That's also good for just different disabilities if they need to rewatch it or re-listen to it or something like that. And then you don't have to worry about remembering to record it and remembering to not, to turn it off at the end. It'll go off automatically, but it's just another thing you don't have to worry about if you need to record it, which I would suggest. It is nice that you can download to your own computer, and you can also upload it to Canvas itself or up to YouTube. I do like to use YouTube myself, but I don't want to get into all that if that's not something that you're doing yet or comfortable with.
The one thing I had to learn the hard way is that each class has a different Zoom address. I didn't know that. I think Dan had explained it to me at one point, but
Right, unless you use that personal link, but if you do the
Yeah.
personal link, then you run into someone else connecting that maybe you don't want in at that time.
gotcha.
Um, so that's true. So if you do the generate automatically, you're gonna have a different link for each class. And then I would just go to your own class and click it. That's what I do. You can also go to your meetings, like under, when you log into your Zoom account itself, you can click on meetings and it'll tell you all the different ones scheduled. So you could also get to them that way too, if you wanted to. But that's the link, and you're already mentioning. So this, when it generates that link, that's the one that you're going to share out. That's the link you'll put in your course. Now, if you copy that link, it already has that password, the meeting ID already in it, so they don't have to memorize anything or punch it in. Okay, so have you hosted the Zoom meetings yourself or just been a part of them? Like at what level have you done the actual hosting part yourself too for your classes?
Well, I have hosted them. I just don't know how I got there.
Perfect. You clicked your link. That's it.
Okay.
So you did great. But so when you're actually in it, if you're hosting, then this is what the board's going to look like, if you will, at the bottom. And it comes up if you hover over your screen. So you could even do that now if you want to look at it. You can hover over the screen where my face is on your computer. And then that's where the board will come up down here where it's a menu bar. And you can have the audio, the video, you can turn them on, turn them off. You don't want to turn off your audio if you're hosting, most likely, but if your dog barks, maybe someone's presenting. So you can do all these, manage participants. It'll pop up down here, admit, it'll have someone's name and you click admit. If you have that as your safety feature and you just keep clicking admit when they come in. It's just so that you recognize the names on it. So basically all the tiles are at the bottom here. All the menu things are at the bottom. I kind of jumped ahead, but here's where you start your video. If you didn't hit the automatic video, and maybe you want to set it up that way, maybe some you don't, but maybe there's a something in progress and you want to talk about something in the beginning, but then you want to video a certain portion of it, and you can click that video button at that point.
Can I ask you something about sound? When
Yeah.
I started this, I was on earphones or the headphones or whatever they are.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they stopped and I'm like, okay, what did I press to make them stop? And sometimes at work it'll be different than it is at home. At home I don't have trouble with anything. At work I just want to throw the computer.
Understand. So when you're looking at your screen and the audio pops up on the bottom menu,
Yeah.
that will be mute or unmute you, but there's a little like arrow next to it that you can click on right next to that. It'll be about right here
Yeah.
that you can click on, and then you can say where you want to hear it. Do you want it on the computer? Or do you want it on your headphones? That kind of thing. Same with your video. So if you have a camera on your laptop, say, you can choose that one. If you have a camera that is a video camera you actually plug in, like I have one sitting at the top of my computer monitor, then you have to select that on here so that it chooses the right one. So you just have an option on those little arrow keys. But I think what you're talking about is if you bump this, it'll mute you or unmute you. But if it's a headphone and you want to switch over to your computer or vice versa, maybe you're on your work computer and it's noisy in the hallway or in the office and you want to put in your headphones, this is where you'll do that. And that little, it's like a tent almost next to it.
Well, shouldn't the iPod have popped up down there though?
Say again?
The AirPod, excuse me. Shouldn't the AirPod pop up as a selection under audio?
If you've added it under devices to your computer.
Yeah, like I said, when we first started this, it was working and then it went out. So something I'm
At
doing
the
here.
wireless,
Yeah.
it might have died on the battery. Might have
Oh.
died.
Okay.
I'd have to look at it, but that's an option where all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's working and it doesn't.
Okay, thanks.
yeah, so that's how you can switch out that share screen, and that's what I'm doing now. I don't know if you've done that feature yet, but it's really easy. Just click on it, and then you're going to get a bunch of options. If you look like me, like
Uh-huh.
she only got 3 open on her example, which is perfect because mine looks like a mess. So you literally choose which one of these do you want to show at the top. So let's say you want to show your PowerPoint, you'll click on that screen. Double click that one and it'll pop up. This is a good point, is if you're going to show a video within a PowerPoint, or maybe you're having a class session and you want to show a TEDx or a snippet from something, by clicking this optimize screen share for video clips, you're able to do that. If you don't have any videos that you're going to show, then you don't need to worry about it. But if you are going to, that'll help it, then it'll work for you when you click on it. So everybody else can see it on your screen working.
Okay.
You also would need to check that other box there, share computer sound.
Share computer sound.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, then they'll see it and they won't hear it. So if you're going to do anything with the video, check those.
Okay.
So again, with the record, if you're going to record it, so it's not set to record automatically, or you don't want the whole thing to record automatically, it's just a record button there that you're going to click on. And at the then you can just you can click it back again. It'll stop recording or pause for you.
Okay.
So everything will pretty much pop up down here that you want to use. But again, you need to hover over your screen to see it, for it to pop up. When you're ending the meeting, you say for multiple people, you just can click end meeting, and it does that for everybody if you're the host.
Yep.
Any questions on the Zoom part? Did that anything else trigger? I know we took some questions, but before I move on.
Oh, super.
Okay. So Canvas, we're going to talk through how to create a module, and what does the module mean, how to create an assignment, and then create a page within that assignment, not within the module, sorry. So I'll show this to you on a live class, but this is what your screen is going to look like when you get on your course. And you're welcome to be doing that while I'm talking to you if you want to look at it. But so when you're looking at your course, when you get to your home page, it's going to be, when you first start, it's blank. Maybe you already have some in there, but you can always add new modules, and that's where you do. It's just the plus sign and the modules, plus module. So you're going to click that to get started. And then you're going to put a title, whatever title you wanted. World Domination is this title. So whatever title you want, week 1, week 2, or whatever the topic is. And I would recommend saying week 1 or week 2 plus the topic of whatever it is. And then just add the module piece. Click add module. And then you need to make sure that you click this little arrow here to make sure you have that green arrow, because that means your students can see it. It's published. You have to publish all your modules, pages, assignments, and your course, or else the students can't see it. So that enables you to be able to work through your course and put things in and design it. And then they can't see it until you're ready for them to see it and it's published. So you can even be adding things to a live class that they can't see if it's not published, so that you have a chance to be working in it. And that's the first question we always seem to get at the beginning of every semester. Someone's like, my students can't see this. It's there, I see it, but it has to be published. So it's every page, assignment, and module have to be published, and then the course. And it's just clicking this little button to make sure you have a green arrow. So within a module, this is where you're going to have all your assignments, your lessons, any information, and you're going to add them with assignments and with pages. So you've already got your module here. We've titled it, started out. So if you're going to add an assignment, and this is always kind of a good place I have people start, so that when they build out their modules, they can just click on the link and it puts their assignments in for them, so that they're not building everything at the same time. Build the assignments first and do their modules. You can do whatever's comfortable for you, but that seems to be an easier way to do it, I think. So anyway, what you're going to do when you're looking at your screen and you've got your World Domination Lesson 1 module, you're going to click the plus sign again, because now you want to add something to the module. So you do the plus sign again to add something to that module. And then this screen's going to pop up. And I think what a lot of people miss in the beginning is there's this little arrow right here. Again, it's a menu arrow. And when you open that up, you can either add an assignment, a page, a discussion board. So if you don't see pop up in the very first time what you want, just click this arrow and then you can click on the one you want to add it to your module. So we're doing an assignment right now. So we're going to leave it because it comes up assignment. And then under a new assignment, you'll actually have to click on new assignment because there's going to be a list of assignments here as you add more. So each time you're putting in a new one, you actually click new assignment, and then you're going to title it, whatever that assignment is, lesson 1 paper, or chapter 3 and 4 quiz, whatever you want to do, whatever your assignment is. So you'll name it, and then you'll add it. Then you get all this ready the way you like it, and then you have to click add item down there. So I'm trying to see, oh yeah, so okay, once you're in your assignment, then you're going to have some options on it. So you're going to want to go back and look at it. And so this is clicking on the edit button. So anytime you want to do any updates to anything, then you can click on the edit button. At this point, you can add how many points there are, if there's a rubric involved. Right here's your rubric item. If you want to add the rubric, you don't need to hit the edit here. It'll just pop up underneath your assignment. You can add your rubric, and you can even use this between classes. If you use the same rubric, say for discussion boards or whatnot, you can select it. If you want to edit it and put in the different options as far as how many points, what are they submitting, then you'll need to edit this. So this is going to be 10 points. So you add your points, whatever number, you just add that in there. Click on it and add with your number keypad. Assignment groups, we're just going to leave it assignments. You can get into a lot of different kind of groupings, but to just as the basics, we're just going to add it, and it's a point display. So you can have different types of things if you don't want to use points, but we're doing 10 points. Now here's where you got to make sure you will state what you want them to turn in. In other words, there's an option here, submission type. Online, is it paper, an external tool? What is it, a link? Like, is it a video that they're doing it in, or a Google Doc? Will you accept that? Just whatever you're going to accept, you have to tell this assignment, we're going to accept that for submission. So this is where you just click on all the things that you will accept for this assignment for them to turn in. We're going to skip this other stuff for now. Say it's for everyone. Oops, I went ahead, sorry. I look at this screen, I keep thinking I'm in the course assignment and I want to move it. So this is just, again, edit on the assignment is the edit, and you just go down and tell it what you want and how many points you want it to have. And this is what I was talking about. You're going to say, is it a text entry? Is it a URL? Maybe it's a video, or you're going to accept a Google Doc or something. That would be a website URL. Is it a file upload? It has to, if it has to be in a Word doc or whatever the case, or PDF from the computer, that'd be your file upload to. Media recordings, whatever you'll accept for their submission. You have to tell the computer what they're going to accept. This is a good point. So I do suggest that as well, that the students use YouTube and then use the link to submit it, because it can be really long for them to upload things. It can be tricky things, but if they will just do the link, it'll close caption it for them and everything on YouTube. And pretty much every student knows how to do YouTube. And if they don't, they can look up a tutorial. But they don't have to do YouTube, but I recommend it. And if they want to do a different way, they can, but I recommend that as well.
When this was written, it was probably, you were probably referring to Studio there, right?
Studio, they can do Studio. So this is just uploading their file. Like if they do a whatever, this is my submission, this is my presentation or whatever. If they do Canvas and Studio, that's something that we can show you that they actually do right in the course itself. If they do the YouTube, they're going to submit a link is what they're going to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, Canvas or Studio has gotten more stable since last year, but
Absolutely.
the most stable option is probably YouTube, where they're not submitting the video, they're just submitting a link here. So
And
Canvas
then
will
it's
have no
not
problem with that.
also using the memory then in Canvas if it's a link as well.
Correct.
One of the things I also wanted to add is, when we talk about using Studio or Canvas, if it's an adjunct and they're teaching at another institution, sometimes I tell them you might want to store this in YouTube so you can use it in multiple,
Good point.
LMS, multiple, places.
Good
I
point.
always keep that in mind, we
Yep.
underpay, we're working underpay adjuncts, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Good point. You can leave this blank if you don't want a date, but if you do a date, I actually recommend a date whenever it's due so that it will populate on your student's calendar. They get a calendar in Canvas that has all the due dates for all their assignments and all their different classes. It just automatically creates that. Whenever you create an assignment and there's a due date, it'll pop it on the student's calendar. And that's very helpful for the students so they don't miss anything. And again, you can choose not to do a date here, but it is really helpful for the students if there is something added. Until is nice because sometimes you don't want that paper, with an endless submission date. They only have a week to do it or 2 weeks or a month, whatever the case may be. You can set that until date. And then it'll be closed for submission so that they can't continue to submit if they're running late, whatever the case may be. But then you need to save and publish it. So we're all still in the assignment edit right now that we're talking through. So once you get that all the way you want it, you save and publish, and then the students will be able to see that and you'll be able to add that into your modules. So that was adding an assignment, and I wanted to stop there. Did you have any questions on that yet?
I can't tell you how many questions I have. I'm not smart enough to ask the question. But
Oh,
this
I'll
is
show
really
you
helpful
too, though.
because I watch my student assistant do a lot of this.
Mhm. So I'll talk it through these pictures, but I'll show you as well so that you
Okay.
can see what it looks like. And I kind of talked through this already. It's really the same scenario. So when you are back looking at your modules on your home page, you'll click the plus sign to add a page. And again, it comes up with the same screen down here. And you need to hit this little button to toggle down to page and select page because it'll come up assignments all the time until you choose something else on this menu, toggle down. And then once that comes up, if it's new, then you'll hit new page and give it a title. So this shows there's already some pages in there because it's going to show all yours so you can use it later in different areas. So if it's brand new page, you hit new page, click on that, and then name it, and then add item again. This is again the same screen that pops up when you're with this plus sign with your modules when you're adding anything. And you toggle to what you want it to be and give it a title. So then again, you want to make sure this is published once you create this. And then if you want to edit it, you actually have to just double click this. Actually, I don't know if you might be able to single click it. You just click, I think you single click, just click on your title of your page. So it's kind of different of where to find the edit for the pages. You literally hit the title and then it will open up so that you can edit your page. So everyone formats a little differently. When I format the pages, that's where I put all my content. This is what you need to read. Here's a video. It all depends what information you want on here. We have Barry Manilow on this one. So you say whatever you want to say on here. So I have headers that says, read this information, watch this video, that kind of thing. And then I have a different page for what their assignment is, like what they need to do that week. So this is where I put all their content. So this is where you can upload your PowerPoints, type your content in as far as things that you want to tell them, what, overview, what are you going to be talking about this week, that kind of thing. So this is where I put that information and modules on a page. And then you need to save it again. So whenever you do anything up here, make sure to hit the save. And sometimes you have to scroll down if it's not showing on the computer to make sure you hit save so you don't lose it. So this is really good information. So like you said, we went through things pretty quick, and I will show you in a course. But I understand too that as soon as you know, if it's 2 weeks or a month before you want to try to add something yourself, that, you know, a lot of this stuff can be lost. I understand that. So there's a help icon. It's a question mark that is always in your bar, left bar here. This is the actual Canvas menu bar, not the course. So if you click on help, then you get all of these different options. And the one I like to use the most is the Canvas guides right here. There's all kinds you want. If you want to do instructor trainings, if you want to give your student training for the first week, for anyone who's new to the Canvas, you can click that link and just add that in your course. There's all kinds of different things. There's we have our own designated Ferris Canvas support hotline. So if you say, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm trying to get this thing uploaded, I forgot how to do it, you can call them and they can tell you, walk you through it. But I do like the search the Canvas guides for, that's where I start, because then you can put in whatever keyword, maybe you're saying add an assignment or assignments, and it'll come up with all these options. You click on it, it gives you a whole tutorial, walks you through step by step on that. Yeah, so just don't forget the help icon. So there's anything you want, there's videos, you can even Google Canvas videos on assignment, like Canvas tutorial for assignments, and you'll get all of those that come up on Google even. That's what I love about this over things like Blackboard, where you can literally Google it and get all of the support tutorials.
Very cool.
So I'm going to switch over to actually my open course. And get out of this. Because I usually go into showing the screens of my course. I'm just going to show you the course. So I can just show it to you. Okay, I'm going to reshare. And here we go. Okay. Okay, can you see Online Basics course we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay, good. I clicked the right one. Thank you. I always ask that for that very reason, and I do that in courses with my students too. I have actually gone through and talking about using Zoom. I've talked for about 20 minutes with someone talking about something on their page in their course with the faculty, and they finally said, oh, I don't see that page. I was like, oh no. So I actually ask every time I flip over that it works, because sometimes, whatever reason, you got to reshare, unshare, and reshare to make it work. So anyways, so this is just a sample Online Basics course that I created. So all I did was do that plus module right here, and I added this module that says welcome. Then I added the class content pages. So bare minimum, this was for somebody that had to switch over super fast to using this online. So at least a bare minimum, here's the link. You know, this is, they know the class session. This is what we're doing. Here's the dates. Here's the information. This is not how I would do a high quality course. This is a bare minimum basics course. So at least to get all the information, so they have it in one place instead of, say, emailing them all the information. So back to my homepage. I do use the announcements all the time. So once a week, I send an announcement and just kind of talk about, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's a class session. You don't have to give them the link all the time for Zoom. If it's an unusual, like you only have a couple sessions that you all meet together, then I include that. So I'll show you how I did all this again. And also the announcements, I bring them up like the latest two on the top. I don't know if any students ever look at them again, but they're there. They can also get to it on the announcements tab. So again, if you want to create a module, you just click on this module plus module. Put whatever title you want on there. I'm not as fun and creative as Rhonda is on the fly with my titles. I didn't put barely man enough, I mean Mellow on there, so. I actually like Barry, he's fine. So this is kind of fun though for prerequisites. I shouldn't say fun. It's fun for me as the instructor. It's not fun for the students. I actually add the prerequisites so that they have to go through in order, like they got to go through the welcome section before they can go to week 2. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that so that they have to go through an order for my course. Just a little tip. So here's my sample module. It's not, see the difference? It's not published. You want that green check mark. It's not published. So all I have to do is click on that one with the mark through it and it'll publish it for me. Yeah. Okay. So now I have a new module, but now I have to put something in my module. So I click on that plus sign in the gray box of the module title. And this is where I was referring to this drop down. It defaults to the assignment. So here's where I can choose. I can put a page, a new page, a discussion. I can do a URL, like say I've got, I don't know, a TED Talk or something. I don't usually put those individually, I actually put them on a page, but you can add those directly in there. If I don't usually use file because again, I put that on a page with some instructions and some overview and all those things. So really all I use here is page and discussion and assignment. And a lot of times I'll go build my discussions under the discussion tab. So I don't even add them here, but you can. Those are the ones I use. So we're going to do an assignment again. Here's where I already have one. So when I mentioned before, you can go in and put all your assignments for your semester or your course in first before you build your modules. They'll pop up here. Then all I have to do is select that one. And I don't have to do anything. I'm adding that into my module because I've already created it. But if I haven't created my assignment yet and I need to do a new one, that's where you do new assignment. I don't know, chapter 8, I don't know. And then it will add a new one. And this is where I would have to, it's not published yet. See, I can publish it so I don't forget. But then I can go into the assignment itself. And this is where the slides were showing you edit it. So I would have to go in and put any points. What's the points? It's 10 points, whatever. And it just disappeared because I went to the box to. So this is where I would put my instructions or whatever you're doing this week. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to submit. Submit a whatever. And then you would put your points. So again, if you just hit edit, you can work right through this. If you don't need to change any of this stuff and you can use the defaults. I'm using points. What I mentioned here is there's other things like say complete, incomplete. So I use complete, incomplete. Everyone does their own thing. For when I'm teaching classes, I'm teaching a GVSU grad classes right now. So I'll do something like they have a group project, but they have to do their own work first. So they submit their work on whatever this write-up is for a case study first, which I'm not grading that actually, but I want to make sure they've all done their own work. I'm actually grading their group project. So then their group project is what's graded and submitted later. But so it just depends if you want to use complete, incomplete as just to make sure they do the work, but not necessarily graded. But most time you're going to use points. So it's a default, you can just leave it. I'm not going to get into grouping them or anything right now. You can, and just we'll leave the default as everyone gets the same assignment. Save that. And it's already published for me. It's got the, oh, I forgot to say, tell them what they're submitting. They're submitting, oh, I guess it's incomplete, complete. Shoot, I still wanted to get down to this one. We'll say online, and it's it could be this, it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this. Depends what my assignment is, I guess. They usually have actually more than one option they can submit it because it doesn't matter to me. So here's where it will come up now. It's already published, your edits came up, I saved it, and here's your 10 points, and here's all the options that they can submit. So the student will see, here's all my instructions, here's the points, and here's what they can submit. And they'll have a submit button on their side. So lastly, I wanted to show on adding these different things before I can open it up and you can ask me questions and I can show you. I wanted to quick mention, you can also build your discussions ahead of time. I'm not going to mention anything else because I don't want to confuse you. So do you have any questions on this? I can show you that you foresee that you'll be using it for, or if you want ideas on how to put things online for your course. I want to leave some time for questions.
Sometimes I wonder, and I think you might have talked about this, but what if I have to add a link? How difficult is that? Or like a
So-
YouTube link or?
Yep. There's a couple ways you can do that. That's a good question. So for me, I actually put these on a page. So let me go back to module. That was an assignment. Let me get a page, class content. So I have a week, each week is week whatever, and I'll have a page on what they're doing. I put it on here on the page with the instructions, right? Like, so I'm gonna have an overview of this, what we're gonna talk about. These are the different things on YouTube that I want you to look at. And then if you do that, then when you are in your own content, I just hit, I'm editing my page is what I'm doing right now. Right up here, you can add your different links that you want. Like if you have done a studio video, this is where Dan was saying the difference between studio videos and a YouTube. So if you have it housed over here in studio, like you've uploaded it to Canvas, then you'll actually use this blue one. It's called ARC. It still hasn't updated to studio for some reason, but that's the old name. You'll use this blue one if you have it in your course. But if you're uploading like a YouTube video, then this is where I do it. I click the regular video link, upload, and I go find it. Usually I drag it. But if you want to just do it on your page, I just sometimes just submit I literally just put the video in the page and it'll pop it up, the thumbnail. So if I just add the link in my page, it'll pop up as a thumbnail. Now, the other thing you can do, and let me get back here. If you just want the link in your course, but you don't have to do an explanation about it, you don't have to give them any guidance with it, then you can actually just hit plus on your module. I'm on the sample module now. And you can actually just do a link, external URL, and you can put the link right here. I don't have one highlighted to put in here.
Yeah.
But if you just did the plus on your module, and I'm going to cancel. If you just do this plus, and then you select up here when there's a option, the URL, external URL, you can put the link here and then add it. And it's just going to add it like this, another line item. It'll be right here.
Okay.
That might be when you first learn how to do it the easiest way, unless you put things on the page like I do, but everyone likes it different. Good question. Any other questions like that I can show you?
You know what I found is that most of the things we put under module. And then I discovered that when I went.
I think you just muted. It bumped your mute.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
I found that most of the time we use module. And so I was like in shock when I went to the assignment and all the assignments were there. Now, would Lucas have had to put them in there also?
Yeah. So each week, like I should probably rename this like week 1 or something, or week 2, because that's a little easier. So each week I have a module and everything that they need to do that week. So then I've added the assignments here, even though they are in the assignment tab, but I want them to see, I have those, but I want them actually not to just hit the assignment tab and do the work. I want them to do the learning. I want them in the module to watch the lecture or the YouTube video or the PowerPoint or to get their reading assignments. So then I put it also here. So each week, if they're expected to do an assignment, then you also add it here.
Okay.
So they know what to do. So pretty much
Another
these
way
are
to
all think of it as, go ahead, Dan.
Another way to think of that, Sharon, is that assignments page on the left menu. That is everything that's graded in the course, regardless
Okay.
of how you add it. It's going to show up there.
Okay,
But in general, just for the sake of, exposure to all the things you want them to see, having them work through, in many cases, the home page and the modules page are going to be the same thing, but having them work through it in this view that Kelly's got showing right now, that's going to be closer to the ideal situation, I think, where you can be more sure that they're, seeing whatever readings and other stuff you've got there alongside the assignments. So they've got that context.
gotcha.
So I would do, here's your assignments. I would actually, thank you, Dan. I would actually do a page here, and I would call it readings. Like, so I was gonna tag team on what Dan just said. I basically put all the action items that they are supposed to do under the module for that week. So it looks almost like a checklist. You need to read this, you need to watch this video, and you need to submit this assignment. So they can go to week 2 in your course and they can say, oh, I've done all these, I'm good. Otherwise, they're going back and forth to things.
Another thing that students, when I get feedback from students about grades and that kind of thing, and not for my classes, but what they used to get really upset about with faculty is when they put in their additional readings. In other words, you don't have to read it, but when you have honor students, they think you do.
Right.
Do you do that? Will you put like, hey, if you're more interested in this topic, here's 3 more articles you can read?
I would, but I think I would title it optional readings.
Yeah, okay.
So they don't think it's part of the regular readings, I guess. So it's like a different, but there's.
I had to learn that it made them angry. How's that?
I think optional usually works better. I've also seen it done where the faculty member might have a totally separate module, maybe
I was going to say
or something.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
like, oh, this is just additional stuff or
Okay.
optional
Oh,
stuff.
that's great. I was going to say that. I'm glad you said that, actually. I do something like resources, and it's its own module. So you might do resources and optional readings, or I can't spell. But,
Okay.
and then I like that better. However, it's optional. So like Dan was saying, they don't feel like they have to do it because it's not in this week.
Yeah.
And then you could still list it by putting a page in here and doing week 1 optional, whatever optional readings we can call it. And then on this page, yeah, here we go. Oops. And so again, to edit, you got to edit this one over here, click on the title. And I always go back and forth. So on here, this is where I would do like week 1 optional readings, right? And then week 2, so that it isn't part of the actual module. That the module, again, I think they really view it, and I do too as a student. I've taken lots of online classes, and I view the modules then as a checklist. Like, this is what I have to do. And that's what you're talking about when I get angry.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking they have to do all these, and there's all these extra readings. And
Right.
but if you have it different like this, like Dan was saying, I totally agree with that, is that now they can go to that if they want to, because they're really interested, but it's not like it's needed for the exam.
Yeah, gotcha.
Good question.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on your course in particular that we could help with?
I know our time is near. No, this has been very helpful. And again, I'll just have to listen to it 10 times. And you almost have to listen to it while you're doing it, like you said earlier.
Yes.
And actually doing the project.
I do want to show you the help real quick, so I can show you what it looks like instead of a slide. I do Canvas guides, and that's what I was referring to, where you get the key, you just put in your categories. You can just do assignments. Like, I forgot how to add an assignment. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's super.
So you can choose, do you want the student or the instructor? Well, I want the instructor, but yeah. So it has all these, how do I do an assignment? It will literally walk you through all of this. So you can get fancy and creative with but here's how do I create an assignment? It'll literally show you here, hit this, then hit this, then hit this. So that you don't have to remember this after we're done talking, just so you've seen it, so it makes sense when you look it up.
Okay.
But that is like the most valuable piece, I think, for anybody that's doing it new, that is not familiar with it.
Well, I've got to go on to a next appointment, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys.
Thanks so much.